the students, but us parents as well and the community. Very quickly, as a healthcare provider as well, who has directly worked with COVID-19 with patients and staff members, I am for going back to school. My daughter is going into kindergarten this year. However, I do have a lot of concerns with the younger group of kids, how you can get the kids to actually go and wear their masks appropriately. I mean, are you going to spend more time instructing children on how to wear their masks and wash their hands, or are you going to spend more of your time on classroom instruction? I think it's going to be a difficult transition for everybody, and I don't think there's the right answer. I don't think there's one right answer. So I guess my biggest concern is, how do we get the younger children to comply with all of the regulations? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
I'm Ms. Bannis Clements. I'd like to make a comment, please.
Sure. Can you state your name and municipality, please?
I'm Moran from Dublin. I have a daughter going into 11th grade at the high school. And first, I'd like to thank the administration and the board for their tireless efforts in unprecedented times. And nobody wants this. We would like nothing more for our daughter to go back to high school, but we can't ignore that there's a worldwide pandemic going on, and our country continues to be hit the hardest. The latest CDC data is showing children aged 5 to 17 with the highest positive testing rate. As schools throughout the country open, they're shutting down again due to outbreaks. According to data from the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association, over the past 2 weeks, 97,000 children have tested positive, which is an increase of 40%. Several areas, school districts in Bucks and Montgomery have chosen virtual learning for at least the first marking period, including Central Bucks, who just announced that they're dropping hybrid and going all virtual, reassessing in November. This is safe and smart. And the fact is, we're entering cold and flu season with so many symptoms. How can parents know if their child has COVID, the flu, or a common cold? Well, how do you know when to safely send your child to school? How do you know when to be tested for COVID? Private labs currently take 5 to 8 days to provide results. How can tracing even be effective with lag times like that? At this time, there's only one safe way for our kids to learn, and that's virtually. The district has learned a lot since the end of last school year, so virtual learning can be much more effective, no doubt. And this won't be forever. A vaccine is imminent. Why risk our children, teachers, staff, and community for a disruptive learning process at school? A lot's not known about the virus, including long-term effects on those who have been infected. Dr. Larry Brilliant, who is the former leading WHO doctor, has said that schools often spark respiratory disease and influenza season, with infected children bringing viruses home. And this allows COVID-19 to grow and spread to areas where it's caused little disruption so far. I mean, this is a difficult decision not to be taken lightly, but shouldn't we err on the side of caution? Do we really want to experiment with our children? Would even one grieving family be worth the decision to reopen? So I implore the board to consider going with an all virtual agenda for at least the first marking period, so that we can see what the world's going to be like at that point, or what our community is going to be like. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comments? If you can just speak up, we'll take the first person who speaks. It's a little hard to scroll through 300 people. I see one person trying to speak, but I think you're on mute.
We can see what the world's going to be like at that point, or what our community's going to.
You're raising your hand and it says Pennridge teacher, but we cannot hear you.
You are unmuted, but there's something wrong with the sound.
On my screen, the Pennridge teacher block says that it is muted.
Yeah, so but she was trying to talk when it was unmuted too.
Oh, okay.
Be like.
Um,
Thank you.
You're unmuted, but we still can't hear you.
Thank you. Other public comments?
You've almost utilized that, Ms. Baines-Clemens. Is there any others?
If you can just speak up.
Any other public
We'll
comments?
take the first person who speaks. It's a little hard to scroll through.
This is Josh Hogan.
I see one person trying
West
to
Rock Hill
speak,
Township.
but I think you're on mute.
Yes, and you know what? If
We can
you
see
can't
what
get
the
your,
world's
I'm
gonna
sorry,
be like
one
at that
second. If
point,
you
what our
can't get your
community's
sound
gonna
to work, if you want to
You're
quickly
raising
email
your
me, I
hand
can
and
read
it
your
says
public
Pennridge
comment
teacher,
for you.
but
If
we
you can
cannot
keep
hear
it
you.
short to m.banisclemens@pennridge.org.
You are
I'll read your
unmuted,
comment
but
for you
there's
since
something
no
wrong with the
I don't want you to not be
sound.
able to speak. And then that'll give you time, maybe by the end of public
On
comment.
my screen, the Pennridge teacher
Sorry.
block
Mr. Hogan, I
says that it is muted.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but she was trying to talk when it was unmuted
Yep,
too.
thanks. Joshua Hogan, West Rock Hill.
It'd be like,
Following up to the last
Thank you.
comment, we're going to have hundreds of people on this
Thank
call
you.
who are very
Other
afraid of
public
this,
comments?
but it is wild and outlandish to suggest.
You can just
the things
speak
that
up.
we're being
Any other
suggested.
public
We are the
comments?
Take the
only
first person who
country
speaks.
in
It's a little
the
hard
world
to
remotely
scroll
considered
through.
Israel, who's being lambasted as like
this is Josh
I see one person trying to speak, but I think you're on mute.
somehow at risk, or that there's
Yes, and you know what?
We can see what the world's gonna be like at that point, what our community's gonna be
even
like.
they have a
If you want to
plan.
You're
quickly
raising
email
your
me, I can
hand and
read
it
your
says
public
Pennridge
comment for
teacher,
you.
but we
If you can
cannot
keep
hear
it
you.
Just
short
go through some of the
to
science so that people can understand. hopefully, that this is not what
m.banisclemens@pennridge.org.
it's
You are
about.
unmuted,
Comment
but
before you
there's
put
something
all
wrong with the
this down.
sound.
100,000 new cases in those last 2 weeks of July.
And then that'll give you time, maybe by the end of public comment.
On my screen, the Pennridge teacher
Sorry.
block
Mr. Hogan, I
says that it is muted.
Yeah, but she was trying to talk when it was unmuted
Yep,
too.
thanks, Joshua Hogan, West Rock Hill.
It'd be like,
Following up to the last
Right
comment,
next
to them, we're going to have hundreds of people on this
Thank
call
you.
who are very
Other
afraid of
public
this,
comments?
but it is wild and outlandish to suggest
You can just
the
speak
things
up.
that we
Any other public
we are
comment?
the
Take the
only
first person who
country
speaks. It's a little hard to scroll through.
who's being lambasted as like takes place in the
This is John.
I see one person trying to speak, but I think you're on mute.
Yes, and you know what?
You can see what the world's gonna be like at that point, what our community's gonna be like.
If you want to quickly
raising
email
your
me, I can
hand and
read
it
your
says
public
Pennridge
comment for
teacher,
you.
but
If
we
you can
cannot
keep
hear
it
you.
short
Go through some of the
to
science so that people can understand hopefully that this is not what
m.banisclemens@pennridge.org. You are unmuted, but there's something wrong with the sound.
1,000 new cases in those last 2 weeks of July.
And then that'll give you time, maybe by the end of public
On
comment.
my screen, the Pennridge teacher block
Mr. Hogan, I
says that it is muted.
Yeah, but she was trying to talk when it was unmuted too.
Thanks, Joshua Hogan, West Rock Hill. Following up to the last comment, to them, we're going to have hundreds of people on this
Thank
call
you.
who are very
Other
afraid of
public
this,
comments?
but it is wild and outlandish to suggest
You can just speak up. Other public comment. Take the first person who speaks. It's a little hard to scroll through.
who's being lambasted as like takes place in
I see one person trying
wild and outlandish. We are the only country in the world that is even remotely
to speak, but I can't.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Hi, my name is Elia Garrison, and I have 4 children in the district. I have 2 in elementary school and 2 in middle school.
And your municipality too, please.
Bedminster, we're the Bedminster Elementary and North Middle School. As a former teacher and mother, I'm well aware of the difficulties that many will face because of this virus. But I feel that many people are forgetting one important factor in all of this. Many people are asking to go virtual from a place of privilege. Most parents will have no issue helping their children in this district reach their potential. But by going online, many children will fall behind because they don't have the support system they will need. I know me and my husband will be able to help our children, but I know many kids that are friends of theirs that won't have that ability. This isn't a level playing ground for our kids. Many kids don't have access to internet, and if they do, they don't have the support from parents. Countries around the world are opening their schools. There is no guarantee we will have a vaccine or a time frame, so we will have the goalposts move again. We were asked for our input, and more than half the parents said they wanted their kids to go back. It's not that we don't love our children, but we realize how important it is for their mental well-being to go back to school. If a parent feels that their child shouldn't be there, then they're given that option. If a parent feels that their child should go to the school, then it should be that option as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Hi, my name's Kelly Lang. I have a comment. I'm from East Rock Hill Township. My one son goes to Siler, and my other son goes to North. I just wanted to speak. I know I had emailed Dr. Bolton this. I wanted to speak on the special education. I was one of the parents that said I did want my children to go back full time because I saw my one son who's in the autistic support struggle and regress from March to June because he didn't have his supports, his PCA, his special education teacher, his therapies. He was not able to focus in an online virtual program. So for me, I just have that concern if we don't go back in person, if there's going to be anything that would be set in place for these kids that do have special needs that can't function and aren't getting their IEP needs met virtually. So that was just one comment that I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Clemens, the same lady is trying again. We still cannot hear you.
I did receive your email though, so I'll read your comment. I think there's more than one person because I just got 3. So I think there's 3 people trying to speak who can't. So I'll start with the first one. John Carey. I'm the father of 3 boys that attend Pennridge. Dan, I won't read your kids' names. They all desperately want to go back to school. One is a freshman, one is a sophomore, one is a junior. They all desperately want to go back to school. The one thing they agree on is that virtual learning does not work and it is setting the kids back. The kids will be safe if they follow the original safety protocols. That was it from that one. Lori Rorvik. I would like to know if Pennridge School District was able to purchase the sanitizing equipment needed to clean the classrooms, library, etc., to keep the schools clean for our children. And the last one, Colleen Colzer. The mental health of many children, most commonly in elementary age, needs to be researched. Many children need in-person instruction for their overall mental health and well-being. Children with supports will suffer. Additionally, it is important to state surrounding districts have gone virtual for various reasons. To say it is not safe is far too blanket of a statement, and that was Percy Borough. Okay. Last call for public comment.
I have a comment I'd like to make.
Sure.
My name is Brenda Wonshock. I'm from Bedminster, and I've been a proud Pennridge educator for 31 years. Each year on the first day of school, I explain to my class how much I care about them. My number one priority is always and always will be to keep my students safe, physically as well as emotionally. A very close second priority is to ensure their learning of grade level content and to even have some fun along the way. I'm empathic, compassionate, and caring, and I teach my students to treat others in the same manner. Therefore, it's extremely unfortunate and very disappointing to me that we have come to a place where our own Pennridge School District officials do not seem to value others' safety in the same way our teachers do. It's true there is much for the scientific community to learn about COVID-19 and its side effects. However, there are many things we do know. We do know that it can affect anyone, regardless of age. We do know that by opening schools, many will get COVID-19, and sadly, some may even die. Let that sink in. Some may even die. And yet here we are tonight making life and death decisions for our students, our employees and families about opening schools. I ask each of you here tonight, where is your care? Where is your empathy? Where is your compassion and concern for others? We are putting our community's children and adults' lives at risk. Please make safety our number one priority by opening schools in a virtual manner. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Dolan somehow got kicked out. Can you try to get her back in? And any other public comments? Okay. So we do have Dr. Damsker here this evening to join our meeting. So rather than for me to address a lot of these questions, I think it makes sense to have him share the medical perspective first. And, whatever is not addressed in that dialogue, then we can try to address individually. Some of the things that were brought up, I also plan to speak to, but I would prefer to wait to speak to them anyway until I've heard from everyone. But I plan to speak to those when that motion comes forward at the special board meeting, and I'm sure that other board members have thoughts that they want to share on some of those topics as well. But this is a topic I certainly don't want to speak for everyone, because I don't know that we all have very different opinions on all of these things. So we will try to answer all of the questions throughout, and between now and that vote on this. So thank you all for sharing your comments on this topic. And next, we are going to have the presentation of the Pennridge School District Health and Safety Plan by Dr. Abarchak.
Yes, I'm just going to pull it up here. Give me 1 second. Ms. Miller, for some reason, I have it open on my computer, but it's not showing in my shared screens that I can share that presentation.
Try to drag it over onto your other screen, Tony.
There we go. Thank you.
Got it.
So good evening, school board members and members of the Pennridge community. I'm here tonight to share the school district phased reopening plan for health and safety. And this is the plan that was put out as a template, is put out by the PDE, that this was a presentation, a plan that we need to put together to be reviewed by the board and then voted upon at some point. So I'm just going to give a brief overview, and then as Ms. Clemens indicated, Dr. Damsker is going to be available for additional questions. So I'm just going to give an overview of what the plan entailed. And this was having a pandemic coordinator and team, and we came together. We met several times between different teachers, administrators, and other staff members to organize our plan. That consisted of different strategies, policies, and procedures. And as you can see, they are cleaning, social distancing, monitoring student staff health, and other considerations as part of the plan itself. There we go. As we said, professional development is also part of that plan, and how we will inform public and students and staff in regards to all these strategies and policies put in place, as well as the communications we'll be using. The phases, which people are well aware of, there's the red phase, yellow phase, and green phase. This basically just broke it down into what the definitions of those different phases mean in regards for our schools. The red phase meaning remain closed for in-person instruction and all instruction, whereas the yellow phase and green phase, schools may provide in-person instruction and developing a written health and safety plan, which again has to be approved. We have the pandemic coordination team, where we had the health and safety plan team. These individuals played the role in as part of developing that plan. And then the other individuals of the pandemic crisis response team, which will be ongoing, and a role in decision-making and the efforts to help put together the plan and execute it. The strategies, policies, and procedures. As you can see, these are the different action steps that are followed under each of the different phases. So under yellow phase, green phase, and giving the action steps that are required under each of these. And then the lead individual and positions, we have the list as part on that action plan of those who are involved and their individual responsibilities for developing the plan. We had to include the materials and resources and supports that would be needed, such as the disinfectants that people were talking about, the water bottle fillers to be installed in the different buildings, and so on. And then again, the professional development, and that was to be as part of the implementation to staff, students, and families.
Browser?
Other stakeholders.
Oh, why?
The cleaning, sanitizing, disinfecting, and ventilation piece. As you can see, these are the areas that we addressed as in part of the plan. The 2 times a daily disinfecting of high-touch surfaces, those designated water bottle filling stations, the regular cleaning and disinfecting that we would do on a regular basis and at nighttime. To minimize this. The classroom being supported with the necessary cleaning supplies for an as-needed basis, the hand washing and sanitizing throughout the day, that increased ventilation of use of fans, open windows, and increasing the ventilations within our buildings, and the use of plexiglass barriers that are acceptable.